Welcome back to another episode of Pixels to Politics. I'm Blackheart, and as always, I'm joined by Dougie and Bray. Tonight, we'll be delving into the latest in artificial intelligence, technology, and its impact on society. We'll also be exploring the current state of movies and television, and discuss significant international affairs and political developments. Join us for an insightful and engaging discussion on these pressing issues. Dougie, Braden, how you both doing tonight?
I exist.
I'm doing good. I just got back from a little vacation. Oh geez, you're dying. You won't
I
be
am
existing
dying.
for
Yeah.
much longer.
Yeah. No, I work every day, so it's kind of like my body is slowly collapsing.
Yeah. Well, I got back from vacation and it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. Nice little beachside resort.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Ian's birthday, right?
Yeah, it was Ian's birthday. He invited some friends out, some internet friends he had never met before. So that was really cool. I will say, um, oh man, I'm gonna sound really old, but I cannot stand the the generation that came just after us when it comes to phones. It's absolutely ridiculous how much time these guys who've never met each other, by the way, outside the internet, they've never met each other. We get to the hotel and they spend even before the hotel, they spend the entire time for a good amount of time just on their phone, dude, just fucking TikTok scrolling like crazy. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, I'm like losing my mind because I'm an old man. I forgot my book, dude. Like I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, looking around, dude, and I was just so shocked. It's like you guys aren't more excited that you're meeting each other for the first time. Like I've met a lot of internet friends, Ryan. Like we started out on the internet, and of course now whenever we hang out, we don't spend that much time on our phones, dude. Fucking scrolling, like we talk about our lives and like what's going on. We like catch up, but they just spent such a large portion on their phone, and it's the same with like my cousins too, my younger cousins. They just fucking boop, 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 boop. Anyways, I know it makes me
No,
sound
no.
old, but
It honestly, it doesn't. Like, it makes sense. Like, especially with Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Reels. Like, there's just so much freeform instant gratification content that there's a lot of people out there that are just chronically on it. And yeah,
they're actually talking about banning social media for people under the age of
I,
16.
I thought it was 18.
I would guess maybe I've heard
Or
both, I
maybe that
guess,
was a
but
different state. That
yeah,
was a different state. I know Florida was doing, I think, 16 maybe.
yeah, I think Florida had a pretty young um limit they were trying to push, but I don't know. Part of I understand part of the logic when it comes to the algorithms and how they work, and I don't think a lot of people really get the in-depth detail knowledge they use to get you to keep fucking going. It's been completely compared to gambling addiction. Um,
Yeah.
and like that's how it's set up to be. It's like so. Let's say you have 10 of your favorite channels, right? You have 10, and like three of them are you literally go on the internet every day to watch those three specific videos that these people post. You must watch them, and then there's like five other ones that you'll watch if it's there, and then like two bad ones. They'll literally
Yeah.
design that the showcase, the like presentation sequence, so that you get the three good ones like spaced out as much as possible, and they'll like throw in some new content or bad content just to keep you on like as long as possible. Like it's so fucking well designed to keep you as invested at like as much time as possible. And like I don't know, these poor kids, like they don't stand a chance. Like it's math and computers. Like how are they gonna stand a chance when they're starting at the age of like 6 and 8? I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
bad for them, but it's terrible. I mean, we're just sitting around and like they're just on their phones. They've never even seen each other before, and it's just like 4 hours spent fucking scrolling on TikTok. So I don't know. It made me sad. So other
You
than
said
that, it
those
was a
were
good time.
Ian's? Those were Ian's friends?
Yeah, yeah. This is college buddies.
Oh. I would have thought he would have, I don't know, had less indoctrinated friends.
Uh, depends on who you ask. College students, I guess, are getting pegged as the most indoctrinated right now from the right side. Oh, I don't know. I don't really think it's a political thing. I think it's just I've seen it literally everywhere when it comes to just like my younger siblings and like that particular half generation lower. It's like that's just what they do, man. And like if you look at their faces and like when they're doing it, they're so intense. It's like gotta find that next video that like I love. You know what I mean? Like they just look for that
Yeah.
dopamine hit like crazy. So I don't know. I don't know if I really fuck with the band, but I do think something should happen because it's not. It doesn't look good. And I know a lot of studies keep coming out about how fucked it is for those guys. Oh,
I mean, I send reels to Matt all the time. Like,
sure.
that's all I send him is reels. But I do that, like, at the end of the day at night when I'm about to go to sleep. I don't, like I'm not, like or when I'm, like, in the restroom, I'm not, like, doing it like, when I'm laying down or on the bed typically,
Yeah,
unless I'm going to sleep. Like, if I'm sitting down at my table, my desk, I'm never on my phone. I'm always on Discord talking to people. I'm never
sure.
really just flipping through it. I think that it is very addictive content for sure. I think it's designed to be that way. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think that making it so that kids that are 16 and under aren't able to use it is going to make it so that they have to once again implement the social security thing. So
Something.
you're
I
going to
mean,
have
they
to
still
input
can.
your
But
social security thing into, a social media app, which is crazy to think about, but nowadays it's just how it is. I remember when social media used to be a lot more anonymous. Like you didn't know who people were on the internet. And nowadays you can find someone's entire life on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And you just find out just by typing in their name into Google typically.
it doesn't really feel like social media to me anymore. Because social media for us, I felt like was like talking on Facebook and MySpace, and you'd post pictures, and like there was like actual communication with humans.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like that to me. I mean, it feels like they're playing a game. Like I feel like that's the best description. Like it feels like they're playing a game to me. Like
Yeah.
it's not like they're talking. I mean, obviously there's a few people on there who are like writing in comments, but even that is not, like that's
Yeah.
not particular good socialization in my opinion. But
Yeah. Or likes,
sure.
hearts, emojis. Like it's not really a comment. Anyone can like a post. It takes like half a second. You just click it. And for me, it's like the only reason I like posts is to just stay relevant. Like that's literally a strategy of mine. I'll just like a post if I want to stay relevant with that individual
Hmm.
because it gives them that little dopamine hit, and I want them to associate me with a dopamine hit. So if I want to stay relevant to that individual, I'll like a post.
Oh, like to get noticed. I see.
Correct.
I
Yeah.
gotcha.
So it's like this person, for example, this person hosts a bunch of parties or whatever, and they just posted a party. And if I want to, be involved with this person, because let's say we already talk or we're acquaintances, I'll like their post or I'll put a comment underneath it, because I know that there's a higher chance that if I do, that they'll invite me to a party, etc. There's kind of a strategy behind it. I feel like.
That's also I think that is the social part of social media. Like I think that makes sense. You like
Yeah.
find that video and I don't know. It's such a weird. It's such a weird, complex problem that I don't think humans have ever faced before.
Mm.
Um, I don't know, but it did make me think that like as AI kind of starts to produce a lot of content, and it can just produce it as long as the power is on. That like, do you remember when we were in high school and the only thing you really had to look at was some iFunny images? They'd come out like
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
like 3 sets a day, and it would take you
Yeah.
about 15 minutes to scroll through the
Oh
most
God.
recent
Yeah.
30. I
Yeah.
mean,
I remember that.
you got off right because there wasn't that much content after that, but
Yeah.
now there's so much content for them. It's basically nearing infinite, and especially with AI, just that can kind of instantly create it and send it. It's fucking wild. So definitely, I don't know, something.
Yeah. Apple's coming out with their AI.
Yeah, well, they are using GPT and Gemini until they catch up because they got the rug swept out from underneath them. So they haven't developed their own just yet. I feel bad for them. I think I put on the conspiracy hat because I know Ryan's gonna make me. But I think that the government kind of fucked them over intentionally because Apple's known for um, trying to
Dominating
keep
the
the
technological
privacy.
world.
Well, yes, that too, but they are also trying to like hold out in the private information sector, and I assume the government didn't like that, and so they hit the green light on AI, and Google and Microsoft dropped theirs. But poor Apple got caught with their pants down because look, I'm wearing
Yeah.
the hat. You can smirk all you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so they have to use GPT and Gemini, and you as an Apple user will be able to decide which one you want to use, or neither, and just kind of use whatever they have developed so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the race going on. I have kind of
I
thought about. Sorry, go ahead before I move on.
yeah, I think honestly I never use AI ever.
Never.
Never. Literally never use it. The only time that I've ever used it was to generate an image, like a few times. And that was it. That was the only time I've ever used AI. And like in my daily life, I never use it.
Mm,
And I always hear from like coworkers that use it for like how do I do this for my business, or how do I set this up for social media, or how I blah blah blah, like advice or planning or strategies or whatever. I just never use it. I never, because it's like I can always just do a Google search and get the same thing pretty much. So I'm like, why would I use AI when I can just use Google?
mm.
Speaking of the Google searches, have you seen like all the memes of like terrible like Gemini like search results or whatever?
Yeah, those are edited.
Some of them are edited. Some of them are genuine because they get like retested. But like, yeah,
Yeah, that is.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that is something I notice now. Like if I go and I ask how to hit a nail, or actually no, if it has to be like kind of specific. So if I say how to make cake, let's do that. Then it'll have generative AI like posts. Or if I
Hmm.
say um, let's say I do something like building a birdhouse. It'll show like an AI thing on my phone, and it'll have like steps or whatever. Or if I ask it like a moral question, like is it moral to steal? Then it'll usually have like an AI thing that'll pop up, like from ChatGPT or Gemini on Google.
Yeah, I mean, the very clear problem is that people are confusing this auto text complete software with
Yeah,
actual human intelligence. And
yeah,
obviously, it's not. It's just reading the internet and reposting it to you in a new form. And so it is saying all kinds of funky things. Um,
yeah,
so I mean, I think there needs to be an extra layer, and they're the way they're working on it, I think, is a little stupid, but they're just trying to get it out as fast as possible. So they just want that response to hit you as fast as possible. Because they know if it takes too long, then you'll just move on, and
yeah,
you'll stop being a consumer. So instead of making sure that it's factual or makes sense, they're just like, okay, just ship it first, and we'll figure it out
yeah.
later. No, so you get really funky responses like eating glue and drinking bleach or whatever the hell they keep saying.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, I'm not in the Navy. I don't feel the desire to do those things.
I don't feel the desire to do those things either.
That's good.
Oh, so you sure the haircut isn't because your barber was sniffing glue?
No, not at all.
No, he's probably pretty straight edge. But I think AI is for the most part a good thing because it benefits the people more than it benefits the government in a way.
Hmm.
I feel
Uh,
like yeah, I definitely feel like the population benefits more from AI than the government does. So it's like, for example, if someone wants to get information from AI, like a bunch of people can access it whenever they want and they can receive it whenever they want. And simultaneously, it's like the government can see what people are searching up if they want access to that information, but they can't really mess with AI at all.
the government?
Yeah, they can't really manipulate the AI.
Oh, they
Like
can't.
I don't think so.
They
I
can't.
think because once again, these aren't government entities; these are private organizations. Like
Ye-
they could pay these people that develop it to change the responses, but people are going to notice that, and it's not going to have positive, long-lasting effects.
I
I don't think.
agree with you, but for
Yeah,
reference, Well, we thought the government wasn't controlling social media, but they still control these things through the corporations. They just make deals or fucking demand that they have to do them, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm not putting on the tinfoil hat for this one.
Yeah.
That there's at least some influence in some of these things, in the AI prompting and even in the training data to make sure that they're getting some result that they want. You know, and even
Mm.
if it's not intentional, it's trained on social media, which was influenced by them. So therefore, there's just a natural bias that's put in there. I'm sure there's shit that they don't want too. The difference for the U.S. and other countries is that because we were allowed to say more, allowed to speak more freely on the internet than some other citizens in other countries, it's less biased, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Mm. Like, for example, for AI in particular, the people typically are able to, at least in the past, have been able to adjust how the AI thinks by adjusting what they type into the search query for the indexing.
Hmm.
Like, so for example, I think Microsoft, what it was, or Skype or something like that, they came out with this AI called like Tay or something, or K, and the people just kept making racist remarks on the Twitter page for it. And so if you would ask it like a question that was obviously racist, it would reply with a racist remark every single time. And before it wasn't like that. It started out like as a normal AI, but as people kept feeding into its results, they were essentially were trolling and just made it say whatever they wanted it to by manipulating the indexing. And I think if you look nowadays at a lot of AI, like you can see there's definitely a certain bias in like typical questions because once again it's taking it from the internet. So if you released a bunch of articles saying that the Earth is flat, and if you asked AI if the Earth is flat, and there's a bunch of articles that dominate the Google search index that say the Earth is flat, the AI will probably say the Earth is flat. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it can still be influenced, right? Like the database that's put together for these things is controlled. I
Exactly.
have very good knowledge on how controlled you can get it to be. So
Yeah.
I mean, I still think ours is going to be a little more. Well, actually, that might be untrue. I know the Middle East, I think it's the Falcon model. Um, they're just kind of taking as much as they can and slapping it together. And I know I've heard that they're not trying to really control it. They're trying to keep up as much as possible. So, but that being
Yeah.
said, it's our models are a lot more free thinking than some of the other ones. They're allowed to say a lot more. Uh, and I'm sure that they'll just get better and better. But I think the technology at this point is kind of showing that the chatbot feature isn't uh its most useful function in terms of truth and
Yeah.
even search results. However, Wendy's announced that they are going to use it to create like a dynamic pricing for their products. You guys hear about this?
I heard about that. Yeah, they're trying to create a dynamic pricing menu. So
Mm-hmm.
if you show up at lunchtime, the prices are probably going to be higher because more people are purchasing lunch. Versus if you show up like early in the morning or late at night when they're about to close or open, then it's going to be less because you're showing up at a less convenient time for yourself, which is like, or a less busy time, I should say. And I don't think that's a good model because there's a lot of people out there that like, for example, for me, I find a lot of $1 bills where I work, and so if I have a specific amount and I want to go to get like the 444 for example, and I only have the $4 because that's what I found in cash. I don't typically carry cash, but if I found $4, I'd be like, okay, I can get a 444. But if you do a dynamic pricing menu and I get off of work, around rush hour, it's not going to be $4. It's going to be closer to $5. So it's like it's not a smart business model because then not only did you make it more expensive for people that are coming back from work, but but because you made it more expensive, there's going to be people that just simply aren't going to pay it, either because they A, don't have it, or B, they don't respect the integrity of it and the fact that they don't know how much they're going to be charged on their own card. Some people don't really budget like that.
So here's the funny thing. I think this is where AI will shine. I think this
Yeah.
is its best function, is this ability to constantly monitor data and change um and change consumer side stuff, or monitor stuff based on that ever changing data. So like,
Mm.
I agree with you. In some circumstances, it's gonna suck for people because they're going, if they want to go in at lunchtime, the prices might be higher just because more people. However, there'll be plenty of times where it's cheaper because it's raining outside, or because maybe it's late at night, or maybe because the products are about to go bad, so they have to be cheaper. And normally that stuff would just get thrown out, right? Or, you're still getting paid same price. You're still paying the same price for dog shit product or a shit time.
Yeah.
So there are benefits and negatives to this, including job loss. However, I think overall we'll see a huge increase in efficiency when it comes to a lot of the systems that are already in place. Like, why
Yeah.
realistically, prices changing based on um different factors, like when people are buying, basically is really the only factor they're looking at. And
Yeah.
obviously the products, whether or not they're good or bad. That's overall that's pretty good for both us and the corporations, right? Because they can be more efficient. There's less product waste. They make more money when they can make more money, right? And it's better for us because if we take advantage of the times when it gets really low, then it's good. But I do think a lot of people hold that same mentality you're talking about, where it's like you're forcing me to now adapt to AI, basically, constantly
Yeah.
monitoring and changing the system. So I don't know. It's like this weird um, moment for us where I think it, and I think humans in general have this problem with technology where it forces us to adapt, and we're a little slow on change in our
Yeah.
lives. So I don't know, but I do think overall efficiency should be very much associated with uh, AI. I think that's
Yeah.
what its biggest use will be, not this fucking chatbot feature where we're just dicking around with it, you know.
Having actual use. I mean, that's assuming they don't like. That's assuming that nothing about it is manipulated. Like I can
Oh,
absolutely
it's
see
manipulated.
them manipulating the AI to be like, don't reduce the prices below this point.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
That
I can't
that'll definitely
honestly
happen.
I can't honestly see them not doing that. So it's like I wouldn't, and even Wendy's, as nice as their social media team is, I would not trust them.
You shouldn't ever trust a corporation. That's for
You
sure.
shouldn't be you shouldn't be eating fast food anyways, except Chick-fil-A.
No, Chick-fil-A, just why Chick-fil-A?
I don't know. I don't know. I just like their fries and their chicken.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But when it comes to like Wendy's and McDonald's, it's like C tier at best. I'm sorry, it just is.
I do think one of the more interesting parts of this tech is figuring out how us as individuals can take advantage of it. So
Yeah.
like you come into the situation where if you had a bunch of farmers, right, and the farmers usually hired uh labor, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden tractors exist, and you fire
Yes.
all that labor, and of course those people are going to be pissed, even though all of a sudden a lot of tractor drivers are needed, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously it still sucks, but I think this effect is going to be like magnified by like a lot with how applicable AI is to systems across the board, like in almost every industry. And so I think the biggest switch people are going to need to figure out is how to take advantage of this technology so that it can
Yeah.
benefit them more than hurt them.
Uh, I think what's gonna happen. I think you're right there. Like once they have tractors, they're gonna fire all those people and then hire
Oh
tractor
yeah.
drivers.
Oh yeah.
But eventually, fast food will be automated like Wendy's and McDonald's, and then they're gonna fire those people, and then they're gonna hire a bunch of computer science degree people to go inside the McDonald's and just code the burgers, Just like like they did with in SpongeBob, where he just printed out the burgers instead of making them.
Yeah.
It's gonna. I feel like it'll be kind of like that. They'll just maintain it and make sure everything's working properly. It'll probably be like a part-time job type of deal, more than anything else.
I don't
I
know.
work part-time at Wendy's as a developer.
As an
Don't
AI
think
developer,
as an AI developer. Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever hear that.
I
But
designed the
for
burgers.
Yeah, for once the women want to date a guy that was working at Wendy's.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Um, the other thing was, you guys are you two? I know Ryan, you're not a big movie slash show watcher, right? No. How about you, Braden?
I used to be,
You
and
used to be.
then wokeism started affecting the quality of shows, and so I just slowly stopped watching them.
Uh, yeah, I think that's a growing sentiment for people. And I don't even. I was watching somebody else, but they were talking about Acolyte and how sad it is that
Yeah,
Star Wars used to be such a big fucking like. It used to have a
it used to
massive
be huge.
fandom. Yeah, it used to be huge.
It
Like we.
was huge. Like
Yeah.
everyone knew what Star Wars was. There was people that would see the same movie, the same, the original trilogy multiple times. And you have to remember back then, it made $1 billion. And this was like decades ago. Like you want to account for inflation, you're talking about $1 billion of revenue from a movie ticket for where each ticket is like $5, like maybe less. Like that's insanity. Like it was huge. Even as a kid, I owned the VHS tapes for every single movie back when
Yeah.
VHS was still a thing. And me and my friends would always watch the same movies over and over again with our lightsaber. It was the thing. And then after the second trilogy, it kind of fell apart. But wokeism kind of affected all of this television, movies, everything. And it just kind of it's like, okay, we need to input our politics into the show. It's like, okay, that's unnecessary, but did you at least have good writing for the show? Like, and it's like, what's writing? Like, oh, okay, see ya. I guess I'm just gonna stop watching. That's kind of how I feel about it. That's why you see a lot of people that watch anime nowadays rather than American television or media.
Yeah. I I think the saddest part was that people at first felt angry about the change, which it's fair, whatever. Like maybe you like the changes, maybe you don't, but like it became a battleground and there was a lot of fighting, and it's definitely torn the show into pieces or the franchise into pieces. And something he said really stuck with me was that like now people just don't care about it. Like they just
Yeah.
don't care. Like they nobody cares. Like again, like you said, like 10 years ago, if they announced a Star Wars show, could you imagine how fucking insane that would be? Like
Oh yeah.
people would flock in droves. People would pay lots of money for that shit. And now, like, when a show is announced, who the fuck cares, man? Nobody gives a fuck, dude. I think
Yeah.
part of it is wokeism. I think part of it's the battle that takes place over this stuff. And I think another part of it, I didn't believe it at first, but I do think another part of it is the oversaturation of content.
Yeah. That's part of it. I do like there is shows where I've been hyped up for it. Like I'm still excited for Willy's Wonderland 2, even though a lot of people don't really know what Willy's Wonderland 1 is. But I thought it was one of my favorite like pop culture films ever, or in terms of horror. And then it's like for Star Wars, they purchased the franchise from Lucasfilms and he sold it to them, and then they just proceed to ruin it. And that's the funniest thing about it is that that the reason why it got ruined wasn't because of the people working on the acting, the people working on a lot of the stage design or props, action scenes, etc. It wasn't because of any of those people. It was literally because of the people at the top, the executives. They're literally just dumb. They don't know or they assume they know what the people want, and they also know they want to make money, and so they'll take the payout from the HRC. I forget what it's called, but there's a company that gives heavy payouts for increased levels of activism or politics that agrees with what they agree with into your movies, and so they'll shove that in there for the extra buck, and then they'll throw it into the writing, and then they'll cover it up with some easy shine and be done with it. But ultimately, it's because of these executives at the top that decide what happens in the writing process that determines why these movies, these shows as well are failing.
Yeah, I I I agree. I just find it so depressing. I was thinking about the same thing when it came to Marvel, where it's like I used to be fucking foaming at the mouth when a new movie was announced or a new TV show. I was just like, wow, this is so great. And
Yeah.
now when it's something I haven't even watched the last like they think 3 episodes, and I think I've skipped a movie or two, and it's just like I don't fucking care anymore. Like whatever,
Yeah.
do what you want with it. However, we have gotten a lot of really good like indie stuff, some new IPs. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of exciting. Um,
Yeah.
like Shogun and Blue Eye Samurai and The Boys is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. I think the funniest thing is though, they tried to do something similar with anime.
Hmm.
They tried to do the same thing that they do with these American movies and these American TV shows, and they tried to do it with anime. Netflix, random studios that just work with Japanese animators, etc. They tried to do the same thing with their activism BS that they put into their current movies with anime, and it ended up failing. Like it was like I remember it was like a year and a half because I watch every season of anime and I look at all of them. Like I'm very much an advocate for anime, and I watch pretty much every single one almost if it's good. And they had this little stint. It was like a year and a half, lasted about a year and a half, where they would have these quote unquote wokeism type of animes, where they would try to push like an agenda or whatever.
Mm.
The usual agendas of this political party or this sexuality type of deal. And it was just very bizarre, and no one watched it, and it just tanked. And so then after like a year and a half of trying to do that, they realized we can't like people that watch anime don't care about this type of content, and so they just stopped. But the funniest thing is that I feel like there's so much capital in Hollywood and in other brackets of Hollywood that they can just keep churning out this garbage, and it doesn't matter if it does well because they just it doesn't matter. They just have enough capital to just keep doing it. So they just keep doing it, hoping that they hit a bullseye. At least it's my opinion.
Ron, you've seen it in writing, right?
A little bit. I mean, I've seen it like, I mean, yes. So I would say that there are like many projects that are being picked up, and there are many agents. Like when I go through like science fiction fantasy agents, I would say a majority of them at this point have something in their like agency page saying we give preference to or are looking for like LGBTQ plus main characters and storylines and et cetera, et cetera. I've had a few where like when I go to like pitch my book to them, there'll be like a form that's like, hey, fill out your info. Like it'll tell me to fill out like my ethnicity, my race, my sexuality, from time to time. I've only applied to one of those types of agents, and it was the fastest rejection I ever got. I got a rejection back within 30 minutes.
Wow, that's
And the
crazy.
average time that it takes me to hear back from an agent usually is like a week and a half. And I got a rejection there in 30 minutes. It was crazy.
That is
That is
crazy.
crazy. Holy crap.
It
Yeah, I
is what it
mean,
is. If anything, they just told me that they weren't the right agent for me. But
yeah.
I think the literary world definitely has a lot of that type of tomfoolery going on, let's say.
Oh
And
yeah, for
publishers
sure.
are losing money. I think 4 out of the 5 of the big five are hemorrhaging money for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It's the same with
Uh,
Hollywood.
yeah, and it's like the only reason that this keeps happening is because of money. Like it kind of just all goes back to money. If you look at most things, if you look at it with a magnifying glass and put it up to your eye, you'll find that money is the root cause of most of it.
Well,
And they wouldn't do this if they weren't getting paid a certain amount.
they're in
I feel
tax
like that's
cuts.
yeah, tax cuts as
It was
well.
tax cuts. That's the biggest driver. They were
Yeah,
getting tax cuts from this current administration for implementing the shit. So,
yeah. Push the social agenda, push the psyops. We'll give you the tax cuts. Yeah, pretty much.
yeah,
It's not like complex. It's not like
no.
it's like psychology 101.
I do think it's funny how much it's backfiring. That part
It
I
is.
find really hilarious. I do think the minority was loud on platforms, and they
Yeah,
all thought this was a great idea. They thought they were going to make a lot of money, but it turns out when you cater to a minority and
yeah,
you intentionally chase off the majority, you lose money. Who would
Yeah.
have fucking thought, dude? That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
this is like the teacher letting the kid with mental problems like do whatever they want in the class, and the class is like, "Hey, Billy over there is making a lot of noise. Can you shut him up?" And the teacher's like, "Did you just tell me to tell little Billy to shut up? I'll have you know, little Billy is ginger, and gingers are a minority. In fact, little Billy, what do you have to say? Kill all the pigs and cows. Kill them all. Shed their skin." And then and everyone's just looking at little Billy, just like absolute silence, what you like? What is this? And they just like leave the class because they don't want to deal with it anymore. And teacher's like, "Where are you going?" Like, "We're leaving."
dude, you know what's really funny is I have a friend
Yeah,
who teaches in South Florida,
yeah,
and for reference, she's white, but she
yeah,
has a child who is not white who acts up in her class, and
yeah,
if she ever reprimands her, the student, she reprimands her, she'll get in trouble because immediately the student will like start yelling about racism, and
yeah.
the administration is, I don't know, part of that club, or you know.
Well, no,
So she ended
the
up like,
administration, yeah,
well, she's
they just
quitting.
have to,
She's gonna quit because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
bullshit.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, it is BS, and it's like the entire reason the administration is doing that is literally just because they don't want to have to deal with any of potential backlash of like the news or the media getting a hold of that kind of
No, no,
story.
no. I mean, maybe like higher up, but the one particular person that she has to deal with is like she's all in on that shit. She's super
Yeah,
in on it too. You know, systemic racism. This white chick is definitely trying to put the little freaking minority chick down. It's terrible, and
yeah,
yeah, it's so funny
yeah.
because yeah, go ahead.
No, it's like you put crime statistics, like you just post crime statistics, right? And then it
Oh
immediately
yeah,
goes through mental gymnastics. Like, hold on, let's talk about the culture, the government, the lack of this or the lack of that. You have to look at also the money. They don't have the money needed to act this way. It's like, here, I just posted one thing and you came at me with like mental gymnastics that enough to compete in the Olympics. So
what's
can we?
crazy is they say that
Yeah,
shit like it isn't the most racist thing you've ever heard. To
yeah,
it's just like they like, part of the argument is always like, the people on the right are racist, but they always say some shit like that where it's like, oh yeah, they're having this problem because it's a part of their culture. And it's like, huh? What did you
yeah,
just say?
yeah,
What? And you ever want to see true racism? You put a fucking a liberal person and
yeah.
a black Republican in one room and watch how fucking racist the liberal will get, dude. They'll be so
Oh yeah.
racist. They'll lose it.
Oh
It's
yeah.
so funny. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
yeah. What is how's the quote go? Accuse your enemy of that which you are guilty of.
Oh jeez.
That's an old quote,
Mhm.
and it's very much true. It's very much true, and it's like people are really just done with it. They really just don't care anymore. They don't want to deal with it. It's like
Oh yeah.
for the most part, everyone is chill. Like for the most part,
Nobody
everyone of
cares.
every race in America, for like 70% of the time, like they get along. And you have this other 30% that want to cause problems, and then the other 70% just sit there and have to deal with it or ignore it. And that's kind of the state of America at the moment.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, money. We're a capitalist society, and money talks. And like I said, she's quitting her job. They're gonna
Yeah,
have to find a replacement. They'll probably struggle to find a replacement, and if they do, it'll be low quality because that's what happens. And it's
yeah,
the same with Hollywood and the books. No one's gonna buy those books. They'll lose money.
yeah,
No one's gonna go see these movies or pay for these shows. They'll lose money, and they can just eat some ass. You're like, the true voting system is your dollar. That's what it is. And
yeah,
people are voting, and they think you're stupid, and they don't want to watch
yeah,
shit or read your shit or hear your shit.
Something
yeah,
similar happened with Doctor Who, right? Like they had their new season debut and like it just tanked. It was like the worst like single episode release ever. And yeah, I mean that show's like legendary, right? And they have a huge fan base and the whole fan base is just like this is not what we care about seeing at all. And they just
no,
ditched the show after
yeah,
like how long has that show been running? Like decades, right?
I didn't even.
yeah,
I don't know, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They tried to impose put like feminist politics into it. Why are you even putting any politics into it to begin with? Like no matter what political views you have, you don't insert your politics into your writing. That's just stupid. You don't make any money that way. Like who's going to be entertained by politics? People watch television shows to get away from reality, not to have it inserted into their lives. People that genuinely enjoy having politics inserted into their TV shows or their media are literally low IQ. They're the people that barely made it past getting out of special ed class. That's the people that enjoy that kind of stuff. That's not an understatement either.
Yeah. Well, I think well actually it does kind of take me to the next topic where a lot of the EU countries are
Yeah,
have swapped to the right. They're voting in right wing politicians, and even the EU itself is moving a little more right.
yeah,
Um, so I don't know. I'm very curious if that's. I think it is. Very curious if that will be an indicator for this next election here in the U.S. But I know I just saw Canada. I think is next, right? Maybe.
yeah, yeah. I think
Also, you
I
also have
don't
a lot of
think.
Latin American countries that have shifted right too.
Really.
Yeah,
Yeah, Argentina. I think Panama just shifted right. I think there's another election coming up. I think maybe El Salvador, kind of somewhere in Central America, and they're thinking that's going to shift right.
Mm.
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, it's like leftist policies work on emotion, and typically policies on the right work on logic. So if you want to run a country, you don't run it on emotions. You run it on logic. That just makes the most sense. It doesn't necessarily mean all policies have to be right leaning, but it does mean when it comes to your finances and social rapport and governing that you do need to have uh, logical policies. You can't say, oh, there's this group that is a minority in this country. Let's artificially boost them up either financially or socially or academically, and then expect good results to come out of that. Because the reality of it is, stats are the way they are because that's how they were determined by the individuals, not by the collective. But that's a whole nother argument. In terms of the EU, I feel bad for them because they're kind of screwed no matter what they do. Aside from Poland and Hungary, the other countries have kind of just taken in too many migrants to be considered a European country at this point. Most of them will end up becoming Muslim, entirely Muslim. I doubt there will be any Europeans left for the most part after like 5 decades, probably. Um, and the EU will cease to exist. It'll just become a part of, the Middle East. Except for maybe Poland and Hungary, they'll probably have to retreat and um, coincide with Russia to some extent. Um,
Poland and
and
Russia. Mm.
yeah, and I know it sounds stupid, but they're not going to have any other choice. So it is what it is. It'll be a territory battle for sure. And if any right-leaning paragons try to come to power in the EU, they'll just be killed. If we're
Well, I
being
mean,
honest.
we've already seen quite a few of them get into power, and I will
Yeah,
probably see more. But there have been some attacks on politicians in the EU. There was one on the Slovakian prime minister, I think, or the Danish prime minister recently. Um,
yeah.
so
I think I saw that one.
yeah, I don't know, but it looks like countries are swinging back to the right, quite a few of them, and I wonder if that's a canary in the coal mine for us here in America and good old Trump.
No, I think, and Trump is so funny. Like I actually love American elections because they are the stupidest things. You get to choose between a shit sandwich or a shit shit. Like it doesn't. It's a terrible analogy, but but yeah, no, both your options suck. That's the gist of it. And it's like even if Trump wins, I don't really care. Like I don't really care what happens at this point. Like the economy is already in a bad spot, so why does it matter? Like
Because
is it
potentially could pull it out of a bad spot.
maybe? Yeah, like even if he does, like there's still the issue of him being convicted of crimes
What's the issue?
that makes him a felon. Is he going
Well,
to still be able to appear on the ballot even though he's a felon? His
yes,
hearing date for that is the 11th of July.
he can still appear on the ballot. The things that he was convicted for is typically not something you go to jail for. It's like 90% of people don't go to jail for it. Hillary
Yeah,
didn't
but
go to
this is
jail for it, and she committed such crimes. So like,
yeah, but this is a political battle. This isn't a normal battle. This is a we rigged the jury or we threatened the judge.
Well, either way, the Supreme Court has already ruled that he still gets to appear on the ballot, and I sincerely doubt we will see any changes for that. It maybe some crazy shit happens. I doubt it. Uh, I think it's becoming very obvious that the little ploy for political power that was supposed to work is not working, and
Yeah.
they're kind of just reading the signs, and there's not really everyone's kind of turning on them. The media is turning on them. A lot of politicians have swapped sides. There's a lot of Democrats who are just like, yeah, we don't really stand for this anymore. Like this is not working. Um, we want to swap. we we don't support this. So,
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident that Trump will win, or that will at least
Yeah.
move more to the right. I pretty think it's kind of obvious, but what do you guys think about him saying that he'll remove no federal income tax and make up the money with tariffs?
I think that's fine as long as GDP that's being exported is high enough to maintain the same amount that we get from federal income tax. I think that's fine. That's assuming that the country, America, is producing goods or services that get exported to other countries, and assuming that those tariffs that we place on other countries aren't enough to dissuade them from wanting to do business with us.
Ryan, what do you think?
I'd be interested to know, I guess, how that's going to play out in terms of, trade and stuff. I mean, some countries you can't tariff, right, because you have free trade agreements with. So either you're going to take those away, or you're going to basically put a larger tariff on the countries you don't have free trade agreements with, which, on the one hand may not make up everything you need, but maybe that ends up putting more pressure on countries to sign free trade agreements with you. So that ends up helping you out another way. It'll take a long time, I think, to kind of see how that pans out. Maybe he won't even decide to do it. I don't know. Candidates say they're going to do shit all the time and then never do. I'm still waiting on my student loans to be forgiven.
That's never going to happen. Biden already said he wasn't going to do that. So.
Sweet. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Biden. Really love that.
I'm so
I mean,
confident that's what got him into office. I'm sure that's what fucking got him into office. Was people thinking that
no,
was gonna happen.
what got him into office was mail-in ballots in a period where
Was
people were
rigging the
locked in their
Georgia
homes.
election.
Yeah, no, he literally, it was all rigged. Like all those
Tinfoil
6
hat for
states.
you, Dougie. Tinfoil hat for
Me,
both of you.
me. Okay, fine. Fair enough.
You're saying you
I
rigged an
literally
election,
looked
you
at the
wearing
Excel
tinfoil
files
hat
for
that
each
shit.
county of each state that was a swing state while it was happening. I literally looked at all of them. There was even there was literally people on camera scanning the same ballot 3 times, multiple times. And the woman got convicted of it. She was never put into court for it. I'm like, this is an open shut case of, manipulation, literally voter manipulation, election manipulation. It's not even a question. And they can't do it a second time. They can't be like, hey guys, we got COVID 2.0. People would be like, we're not listening to you anymore. You are stupid. And because they can't do it a second time, it's going to end up being the situation of, all right, what's plan B? Put Trump in jail. All right, how do we do that? Stormy Daniels? And the prostitute? Yeah, the prostitute. Okay, so he gave her some money, I guess? Like, yeah. How do we run with that? It wasn't from his campaign. Okay, put him on trial. Which judge do we want? Does it matter? That's kind of just the situation.
It is funny. I'm
It is.
I'm super curious how I still think we'll flow to the right, and I'm really curious how far right we'll swing. But
Well,
I
I mean,
don't
at this point, America's looking to be mostly Spanish speaking at this point.
know.
So,
What,
yeah,
dude? Where are you getting your information from?
I just base
Wait
it
a minute,
on what
I
I
made it the
see.
fuck up.
Brady,
At least,
you live in Florida. Doesn't
yeah,
count. It doesn't count.
yeah. What? Listen, listen. Vermont doesn't count. That place is like 99% white. Okay, they aren't worried about the Spanish people because the Spanish people aren't there. But once they start moving north, it's gonna be mostly Spanish speaking. Maybe not within the next 5 decades, but
Dude,
eventually.
I think you need to go look up some of the fucking statistics when it comes to the ethnic demographics of the U.S. because I'm pretty sure black people are the second biggest race in America, and it's like 13%. Yeah, I mean you can
Yeah.
look it up, but I sincerely doubt that more than 13% of America
Listen,
is Spanish.
listen, the Hispanics breed like it's nothing. They don't even care. The condoms, they don't even care, dude. They're just like, ooh, 5 kids just like that. And then white people are just like, I'm gonna kill myself if I get insulted on social media. And then
So
and then for
Hispanic is actually a greater part of the population than black.
Oh,
So white is 60%, black is 12%, Hispanic is 18%,
wow.
Asian is about 5.5%, and then the rest is either uh, native or like a sort of not hodgepodge, but they're like just various others.
Wow.
honestly, I would prefer majority Asian. That way we still have Valorant and Discord and the e-kittens, of course. But I will
Discord was made by a white guy. What?
Okay, listen, but the culture is still Asian.
I okay. I don't know what you're
No, I'm
talking
just,
about.
I'm just, being- I'm just being satirical at this point.
Oh,
But yeah, no, it's like I don't really think it's a bad thing or anything. But at the same time, it's like you already have all these people that are in the country, so I don't know. I feel like they're just gonna outbreed the other races in the country, and eventually it's gonna be Spanish.
well, okay. I said this. I didn't know it was 18%. That's kind of crazy. However,
Yeah,
that's still very far from the 60% of white people. I
yeah.
the population breeding gap thing going on is super interesting. Wonder why white people aren't having nearly as many kids as the other races.
Well,
What is
intelligent
going on?
intelligent races don't have as much kids. So if you look at like the IQ and the bell curve, it's not even a joke. There was already a study done on it. Like higher IQs tend to have less children. People that like races that are predominantly exposed to having a higher IQ based on their genetics are less likely to have kids.
Interesting. I wonder if that's more a correlation uh, than anything.
It's about risk taking. People that are smarter are less likely to take risks, whereas people that are dumber are more likely to take risks. So a risk like not using protection during sex, or having a bunch of children even when you don't necessarily have the finances to cover it. Like they're willing to take risks like that just because it suits what they want at the moment. So, but then you have smart people that are like, oh, I don't have enough money, I don't have this, or I don't feel right about this person, yada yada yada. They take all those factors into account, and then they're just like, nope, I don't want to have kids right now.
That's
So
interesting.
that's typically the reason why. That's why Japan's birth rate is kind of low too. They're
But
one of like the
you're
smartest
saying,
people.
oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, Japanese population is typically predisposed to being about as high IQ as China.
Wow, learning a lot today. I think.
Yeah, this was done like 30 30 years ago almost. Yeah, about 30 years ago almost. It was in a book in 1996 called The Bell Curve, and they did a study on fluid and crystallized IQ for people of different races, and they found that it went on a bell curve like that, and that people that were higher IQ typically were white or Asian, sometimes Hispanic. People that are lower IQ were typically Hispanic or African during on the lower ends of the bell curve.
So, wouldn't white people have died out a long time ago, and
Well,
Asians?
no,
We've
no,
only
because you have that.
recently gained more intelligence, or what? How does that work? What's the logic there?
Yeah, I would say it's a recent thing. I would say it's more of an adaptation to, of course, sort of like evolution. Like I think before you definitely had, especially Slavs, because it also includes Slavic people, and Slavic people are not as bright, or I should say, not as intelligent as people from Anglo-Saxon DNA, or people from Nordic DNA. So that also includes them, and there's a higher population of Slavic individuals than there is others. I think if you look at as well, Jewish Ashkenazi Jews have one of the highest IQs in the world, which is 125,
I think
and they
there's,
do not. Yeah,
I think there's a
go ahead.
lot more to it than that.
I do. I think there's obviously there's environmental factors, cultural factors. What people desire from life, whether or not they have the finances to accomplish what they want, like having a family. Um, but it's just like one example of why it could be the case.
Could be.
There is a lot of people that are smart, that are very high IQ, that are obviously of different races. And you'll notice those people, even whether or not you want to consider them outliers or not, is irrelevant. They do um, often not have as many kids as the same people from their same category or the same percentile.
I'd imagine the promotion of women in educational and workspaces has probably more of an effect in population growth than
You think because
anything.
women are working that they're having like less women are wanting to start families because of it?
Yeah, why? Yeah, of course. I, I,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it would be pretty easy to just ask a lot of women why they aren't having children, but I'm pretty sure that would makes more sense to me than just IQ. Maybe
Well,
IQ plays a role, but I would imagine that has more of a role.
well, I mean, I think it makes sense. Someone with a higher IQ is less likely to take a risk like not using protection, right? Whereas someone with lower
Yeah, I
IQ,
think it's grounded in logic. I'm just trying to gauge the
yeah,
percentage of
the percentage
how
of how
much that
much
would
it
be an
actually
actual.
affects the situation. Obviously, there's a bunch of other factors that accumulate for it. IQ is just one of them, but I do think it is an important one to note that people often overlook, whether it be because they want to avoid the topic of people being predisposed at birth to a certain advantage or not. Obviously, people are. You can argue that however you want, but I do think women working is just a part of the economy because the whole feminism movement required women to gain certain rights. One of them being the ability to work on property, and because of that, they've had to take on the additional share or the burden of the household as well. I do think that's contributed to not having a family. I do also think there is a culture around not having or not starting a family until you get older. I do think people are looking younger. If you look at a lot of people from our generation, Doug, I feel
Hmm.
like they look a lot younger than people back in like the 70s that were our same age.
Maybe.
And I do think that's playing a factor into it as to why people around our age may not be wanting to start families until they reach their late 30s or mid or early 40s.
That's what I think too. I think we are seeing this like lull in our generation in terms of having kids, but I actually think we'll see a boom just later on as we age. I think people are just kind of like waiting for that right moment. And I think we'll probably see more um, activity in that area somewhere between 30s and 40s. I think that makes a lot of sense. I might be wrong, but I think there's a very strong possibility that's what will happen. And I don't really see anything wrong with our generation kind of waiting a little longer to have kids,
Yeah, for
just so
sure.
that they're more comfortable. I think that I actually have more of a booming effect than anything because if you're more comfortable, then you can have more than one kid. You can spend more time on that child, raising them, especially with two parents in the workforce, or you just more like stable environments. I think that'll end up playing a much larger role as just because we're waiting. I think it's fine. I
Yeah,
think it'll actually. It's obviously like scary right now because it's like we're not having children. There's a population lull. That could be a problem, but our generation is
life
also
expectancy has also gone up too. That's
yeah. It
another
was
reason.
our generation. Someone from our generation is expected to live past 200. You ever hear that?
I heard that. That's a theory. If it does, like if it happens, then it happens. But I don't expect that to be the case. Maybe like 110 or something. Like they measured his DNA or his, health efficiency or the efficiency of how his body works, and they found that it works more efficiently than so and so percentage. But
I think
I,
we'll hit that marker, to be honest, especially with the breakthroughs in medicine because of AI. I hate to go back
yeah,
to this, but the um the models they use for medicine are fucking insane. And um a lot of times I hear people when I talk about this technology, they're like, "Oh, well, it should be able to do this," or like this should happen. And half the time, I'm just thinking like, it can already do that. Like you don't
yeah,
know like what's going on. Like they've just kind of given up on announcing it these days. Like they just don't care anymore. So like it got announced that they have this new model. I think Meta produced it. I could be wrong. And they basically like let people use it very cheaply or for free. But
yeah,
it's driving the medical market, the pharmaceutical market crazy because they're able to produce so much with it. It like completely understands our bodies and the way cells interact with proteins and proteins interact with cells to such a large degree that you can design entire medicines for known diseases that don't have cures or disabilities in just a few weeks. And these things are getting pumped out every day. And I think within 8 months to 2 years, we'll see so many fucking breakthroughs that'll be wild. So it really wouldn't surprise me if someone in our generation really did make it to 200. And again, I think us waiting till we're just a little more stable in life, we have a stable environment, and we can better afford to raise children, and not just one
Yeah.
child, but more than one child. I think that makes a lot of sense. We'll have more children over a longer period of time than, say, the current people who are just having a lot of children in a shorter period of time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I can agree with that for sure.
Yeah. I know Ryan is ready to have children. Look at him. Got the haircut and everything.
Yeah, he's got the depressed, I want to die look in his eyes already. His life is already over, so I think he's probably ready.
What is going on here? Are you projecting on the poor man? What is happening?
Yeah, he's just
I just like
projecting.
roasting
I don't think
Ryan.
unfortunately it's okay.
I just like roasting him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so easy. Look at his haircut.
I think it looks good. It looks fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You could build a house on top of you.
I think you're just
I
jealous.
don't even. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just in a mood for roasting Ryan. There's no reason for it.
Fair enough.
It's
I
just
get
there.
those.
We all get our weeks. I've roasted Dougie a few times. I think maybe next time I roast Braden, we'll call it all even. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
asking for it.
Yeah, just roast me. Roast my cat condo.
The fur babies.
Not even a baby, a fur demon.
Oh,
You kind of see her paw sticking out from the top over there. Like right,
yeah.
Your cats look adorable until they yawn and you see the demon fangs. You're like, oh, that's
right
not
there.
cute anymore. Terrifying.
Yeah, she's a demon, but she's a good demon.
Are there any other topics y'all want to talk about today besides fur demons?
Yes, us Floridians had the wonderful experience of having the Russian Navy pass by our lands.
Eh, nothing burger.
I do feel like that was
Eh.
the general response was,
Eh,
okay,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, if they do something, they'll be fucking obliterated. So I'm not really too concerned. It's kind of like it's like a mouse walking past a giant. Like I wouldn't bite the giant's foot. Probably not the best idea.
How funny is it they sent a tugboat in their group of four or whatever? They sent a little tugboat with it. Like what? Just in case one of them breaks down, the tugboat is part of your army, bro.
Yeah.
Your navy.
That is exactly why. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Mr. Putin, sir, I have a special needs brother. He has a tugboat. He would like to join.
It's just
Like
not
very
very threatening when you announce that we have a submarine, destroyer. I don't even know what the
yeah.
other one was. Oh, and also a
We,
tugboat. It's just
we have a
like
nuclear submarine, a destroyer, a frigate, and then we have the tugboat. Its name is Terry.
oh, dude,
Terry
Captain
the
Terry,
tugboat.
he's on
Yep.
board.
Yep.
Yeah, I do feel like most Floridians are just like, who the fuck cares, dude? Like, fucking
Like
just
they ain't gonna do
blast him.
shit.
Just
They
fucking
aren't gonna do
blast him.
shit. They won't do anything. They
Oh,
won't touch us. They can walk by here all they want because if they try anything, if they even like breathe wrong, the United States will have them fucking blow up. They will be gone. That is the one good thing about America is they're so like our politicians are so greedy and corrupt that they want to do everything in their power to protect their money and their precious lifestyle, which includes having the most powerful military on the planet.
well, I think it's really interesting how you have the executive branch, which changes every 4 years, or
Yeah,
potentially every 8 years. Um, which is a lot different than some other countries where one term is 8 years, or they just have no term limit at all. But
yeah,
you have organizations, or I don't know what you'd call them, parts of the federal government that last forever, or they've been around since they've been established without changing um, their entire departments, like the Pentagon and CIA and FBI. And it's just like those guys have been around so long, and their sole job is to fuck up our enemies, and they're paid trillions of dollars to do it, dude. That's their
yeah,
sole purpose. So it's like, yeah, we have old man Biden up there eating ice cream and shit, but it's just like, I don't know. You've got the black budget CIA on the job, and the Pentagon is just like, it's fine, dude. Like, it's not a
yeah,
big deal. They'll take care of it. Don't even worry
yeah.
about
They'll
it.
take care. Yeah, exactly.
Shit's so funny to me. Oh my god. But yeah, they made
When's
him
the last
his.
time?
Sorry, go ahead.
When was the last time Putin was ever in like an election? I don't think he has. They do elections in Russia
They
anymore.
just
It's
had an
kind of
election this last year, and he
He
won.
won by a landslide.
Yeah,
really.
he
80%.
also like has changed. Like they used to have term limits as well
Oh
for,
yeah.
but he has of course done away with those. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, good on him. I like him actually. I actually kind of like Putin,
hmm
hey,
even if
each
even
their
if
own.
he is a dude that like literally assassinates people. But I don't really care. I think he's cool.
Do you know what's really funny? We didn't talk about this last episode, but the new Mexican president, the Jewish woman,
Oh
um,
God, yeah. Rest in peace, Mexico. Goodbye to your finances.
apparently over 30 political opponents disappeared or were unalived before she
Yeah,
was elected.
yeah.
Very interesting. Very
Circumstantial.
interesting. What was that?
Yeah, now
I said circumstantial. It's Mexico. Like, what are you gonna do?
I mean they literally burned the Israeli embassy in Mexico. They
Did they
burned it to
really?
the ground. Yeah, they did.
Oh wow.
They were like,
They have the benefit
yeah,
cartel
no.
problem
Like
too.
I don't think I wouldn't mess with the Mexican cartels. Like there's a few things in this world that I am afraid of. The Mexican cartels are one of them. I would not mess with them. I think she is in power right now. I think she might soon find out that Mexican cartels believe in gender equality more so than other branches of gangs or organizations. And
Well,
they and
Just
they will
remember, if
not.
you ever get roped up or like rounded up by a Mexican cartel, just tell them how disappointed Goku would be if they killed you,
Yeah, no,
and
that's
then they'll
stupid.
stop.
You've been
Yeah,
on you've been on TikTok too much. You need to stop. You're part of the problem.
you know, like, Dragon Ball Z is like super popular in Latin America. It's crazy.
Yeah. I wouldn't mention Dragon Ball Z to a guy with a gun to my head talking about where the cocaine is in broken English.
Why would you know where cocaine is?
How do you know that they're not making a mistake? How do they know they're not making a mistake and they have the wrong person? They're a Mexican cartel. They don't have a triple check branch of organizations that peer review each other to make sure no one's making mistakes. It's literally
Yeah, they
just a
do. It's
dude in it.
called the Broken Kneecaps Division, dude.
Yeah, the broken kneecaps division is literally everyone. One moment you guys are buddies, the next moment the cartel leader is telling you to break the guy's kneecaps off. So yeah,
Yeah, don't mess up and you won't get your kneecaps broken.
yeah. Don't mess up doesn't mean they won't mess up, and doesn't mean you won't be killed, and it doesn't mean that they won't think you have the cocaine. So let's try to not die and not mention Goku to people that probably don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, they would know. They would know for sure.
Ryan, I'm separating myself from you immediately if the cartel ever pull us over. I will speak in the most broken dialect of a random language that I can to make it to seem like you and me are unrelated.
well, you're not related.
Yeah, well, I mean,
All right, sure. When
not,
I walk out of there with with some new friends and your kneecaps are broken, then
honestly, if they
we'll
walk
know
away
who's
with
right and who's
you
wrong.
because you said that you like Goku, and I'm still in handcuffs because they're still suspicious of me, and I get dragged along with you, I'm crying. I'm literally going to cry, and I'm going to please say, just shoot me already.
Yeah. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. That's fine.
I mean, what else am I supposed to do? Am I just supposed to start talking about how much I like Goku? And then they'll be like, "Oh, you're just trying to copy your friend here." Then it'll just
Yeah,
make you look cringe in front of the cartel guys.
oh lord.
I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life, Braden. You just go ahead and do whatever you want to do, buddy. Go ahead and follow your dreams.
I don't have any dreams. That's why I'm on here.
What? I have dreams and I'm on here. Ryan has dreams and he's on here. It's just you, dude.
Yeah, your dreams are gay though.
So what if they are? What the hell?
Yeah, yeah, gay dreams. Yeah, you're messing around with P Diddy in your dreams.
Not P
I
Diddy.
just,
Not P Diddy. Anyone but P Diddy.
I'm just sitting there with in darkness. You're sitting there with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm in darkness.
Those aren't gay dreams. Those are something else. Those are other kinds of dreams.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't
I don't
talk
know.
about
You
those dreams.
going to the island of lost boys.
Oh my lord. You're ridiculous. Someone's coming for you. Someone's coming to your house.
God, I hope so.
All right. Do we have anything else to talk about today, or are we good?
No, I
Ryan,
think
why
we're
don't you
good.
tell us why you got that haircut that you did?
What do you mean? It's just the
Why
haircut
are
that I get.
you why are you on about his haircut? What is wrong with
I
you?
think he likes. I think he has a little bit of a crush.
He might actually this whole time.
Yeah. Yikes. It's
I
like
just like
the elementary school thing where you make fun of the person that you like. Yeah. It's
That
all right,
makes sense.
Braden.
that's kind of a stretch. It's kind of a stress, but I mean,
But I mean, eh,
But it might be
eh.
true.
No,
it
I'm
might
just
be. Yeah.
no, I'm
Might be
literally
true. I
just
don't know.
trolling. I'm literally just
Could
trolling.
be.
Like 20% of the things I've said today have been completely satirical.
Now you just leave it to the viewers to guess, right?
Yeah, correct. I just leave it to the viewers to guess
Oh.
what's
Leave a
satire and
comment
what's
on
not.
what you think Braden said was trolling.
Yeah.
You guessed right. Nothing will happen, but we will find it amusing.
Yeah. Was he trolling about Putin? What was he messing around about? What was he not honest about? And why wasn't he honest about it? Is he part of the conspiracy theory? Is he a part of the system? Maybe he secretly voted for Biden.
I bet he did.
I didn't vote for anyone.
Oh,
That would have
plot
taken
twist.
time out of league.
Oh yeah, God forbid.
Yeah, an
Oh, have you
hour to.
guys played Dark and Darker?
I've not. All right, I played it once. I should say I did not like it.
You didn't like it? Oh,
Nope,
damn,
not a
fuck! I've
fan.
been spamming it, dude. I think that game is so fun. I fucking love that game.
No, it wasn't my thing.
That's fair. But they had a little bit of a controversy where they went free to play, and
Yeah.
the community lost their fucking minds because I think a lot of it was miscommunication, but they thought that people who had paid for the game could bring in better gear than them when they couldn't.
Yeah.
And so like they just like they yelled at the developers and were like rating bombing it so that it had negative
Yeah.
reviews on Steam. When in reality that wasn't true at all. So the developers ended up changing the game for them anyway. It's more fun now, but like I don't know, I fuck with that game so much. It kind of sucks neither if you play, but
I've literally just been doing Magic the Gathering on
mm,
Discord.
on
I haven't
Discord.
played Magic in a few years.
Yeah, you show your desk or whatever, and you just play like that. Like, I got my deck right here.
Yeah. Is it commander deck?
Yep, commander deck.
What's the commander?
Teshar.
Okay.
Ancestors of
I have a
it's a proxy waifu.
gotcha. What I guess tier level is it?
This is Pauper EDH, so this is a
Oh,
competitive
Pauper. Okay.
Pauper EDH deck, so it's all commons. The power level is about A minus,
Gotcha.
but
I only play usual commander. I haven't played Pauper in a long time, but I have a CDH deck.
yeah. What's your CDH commander?
It's Penrith.
Oh yeah, you're one of those guys. Is it proxies or is it actual cards?
It's actual cards. I think the last time I valued it 3 years ago, my deck was about 12 grand.
Oh
Oh,
my
you still
god.
got it, buddy?
I do still have it. Yep.
Oh, very nice. Good.
Yep.
You're a true collector. My deck
Yep. I
right
only
here is about 400. So mine is pennies
with all
collectors.
common cards, no less. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, no, it's because obviously, I have 14 of these, which are like $15 to $20 a piece,
Yep.
which are the
Like
snow covered
lands,
lands.
just the normal fucking planes are your
Yeah.
priciest part of the deck.
Obviously, I have the new Miku card, Shelter, which is
I
like a good
Hatsune
25.
Miku.
Yep. Darksteel Citadel, another like 20 bucks. What else I got in here? I have a bunch. I have a Lotus Petal, 20 bucks. Thought Vessel, 7.
Yep.
What's my most expensive is like $40 for a generous gift.
Yeah. I only pull out the CDH deck if someone needs their ass whooped.
Yeah, for sure.
Usually I play like a black blue mill deck for commander, just for memes.
Yeah, I didn't even know you played Magic the Gathering, Ryan.
Yeah, I haven't since I've been here because there's no card store in Homestead, and I don't want to drive 45 minutes through Miami traffic to play every weekend. But I like doing sealed and draft. Those are
Yeah,
my
I know.
favorite formats.
Yeah, this is a generous gift.
Hell yeah.
I play on Sanctuary,
Hmm.
Sanctuary CPDH or whatever. It's for people that play specifically competitive Pauper Commander. And
I remember when that format used to be just a meme, but now actually people actually kind of play it, right?
oh yeah, no, I've been working on this deck for a while now, and I just did a game today. We had a person leave though, so. But I also made a video on Teshar and how to play it. So I did a deck tech for it. I also I was in the finals for the second till previous Sanctuary tournament, which is about 32 people.
That's
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, I got made like $80 from it, which is pretty good.
Nice.
Hell yeah, nice man. All right, fellas. If we have nothing else to talk about, I'm gonna go and get some dinner.
Sounds
But
good.
Sounds good.
as always, thank you both.